welcome to Half the Battle.
With our last list, we looked at innovations, both good and bad, that happened in the G.I. Joe toy line. That was fun, so this time we're doing the same but for the G.I. Joe comic. So let's take a look at the 5 best and worst changes the comic made to G.I. Joe. 5th best and worst, Footloose. This guy actually inspired me to do this list after remarking he looks different from his toy. Now, I like that they gave him a new look, and it's nice when the comic deviates from the toy look, but I don't like the way they did it with Footloose. He looks pretty drab, and that's why he's both 5th best and worst.
And we ain't done with that yet because...
4th best and worst, everybody is more of an asshole. This is more a contrast between the comic and the cartoon, but boy can the Joes be jerks to each other. In my early comic reviews, I even had a Hawk is a douche counter for crying out loud. Cobra is also a lot more ruthless, with Cobra Commander specifically being a real bastard. He even kicked a puppy once.
And overall, this is a good thing.
It gives the Joes more character and makes them more rounded. Except when it's taken too far and the characters become too unlikable. Flint borders on this on occasion by being a cocky asshole, but Leatherneck really takes the cake. I just don't even like seeing him in the comic.
And that's why it's 4th best and worst.
3rd best, War is Hell. The tone of the comic could get quite dark. War wasn't a fun adventure, but a serious and bloody business. People died. A lot. Even those who had toys. This kept things grounded while still having the occasional fight with a giant robot. I appreciated that the comic took a more mature tone. 3rd worst, killing Cobra Commander.
Or rather, the way it was done and then undone.
First of all, the plan was to permanently kill the head snake. But if you're going to off such a popular character, his replacement had better be great. And Fred was more of a weenie than anything else. So then they had to bring the original back, undoing most of his character growth. 2nd best, Snake Eyes and Scarlet together.
I'm not the biggest Snake Eyes fan. I think I've made that clear over the years.
Still, pairing him up with Scarlet was a brilliant move. It totally went against expectations and contrasted nicely with the cartoon. As a reader, I was always pulling for them to make it as a couple, and I'm sure lots of other people were too.
But speaking of Snake Eyes...
2nd worst, Snake Eyes the Superman.
Did I mention I'm not the biggest Snake Eyes fan?
He started out okay, but quickly went from being a commando to being a ninja to being an unstoppable fighting machine. He became far too overpowered for my liking. And look, all Joes are very good at their specialities, but they're still like regular Joes, while Snake Eyes was basically a superhero, on par with like Batman or Captain America, and that just doesn't fit.
And the best change the comic made to G.I. Joe is...
creating the Baroness, and Cobra in general. Like in a previous video, the first innovation was the best. It is a well-known story that when Hasbro came to Marvel asking them to make the G.I. Joe comic, Marvel said sure, but don't these guys need an enemy to fight? Hasbro replied, great idea, we'll steal it, and so Cobra was born. And with Cobra came the Baroness, the femme fatale terrorist and one of my favorite characters.
And the worst change the comic made to G.I. Joe is...
killing so many of the comic original characters.
I'm not against death in the comic.
War is Hell is on the good list for a reason. Death belongs in the comic, even when it's a gut punch like when Candy Apple was killed.
Ignore the name, okay? It was tragic.
But it almost seems like every freaking character created for the comic was also created to die. The only really prominent one that I can think of to survive the whole run was Billy. I would have liked it if more of them had lived. Oh, spoilers by the way, like the White Clown, Magda, and Quinn the Eskimo. Oh, especially Quinn. And that was the list.
Do share your own innovations from the comic that you loved or hated in the comments below. Well, I'll see you next time, everybody, and hey, why not like, share, and subscribe if that's your thing.
You'll not see